Hi, welcome back to Rebel at Art. I'm here in my living room. Do I have a studio? Yes. Do I prefer to sit on the couch and watch TV while I make art? Also yes. So here I am in my little abode that I prefer to make art. So find yourself a comfy place to do whatever you want. And today we are going to be making flower planets. So I have found the repetition of making planets so peaceful, especially in this very turmoil-y time with COVID and COVID lockdown. So I thought I'd take this opportunity to show you exactly how I do it, and then hopefully you can make some too. So you want to start off with something circular. I like this candle base size. You place it anywhere you want on your paper. Typically you want to give yourself a little bit of an edge or margin. You'll see on most of my drawings on Instagram, they have edges that I've drawn in with an old piece of paper from a frame. So place your candle circle thing, whatever, anywhere you want, and then just draw your circle all the way around. And remember, we're supposed to be having fun. It doesn't need to be perfect. From there, you're gonna find a flower that inspires you. It might be a flower you have in your house. It might be looking for specific meanings of specific flowers. I decided today I was gonna do snapdragons, so you'll see I am gonna draw up some little sketches of snapdragons and then I will show you what I got. Okay, so I have my circle now drawn. I started to draw in some snapdragons. Snapdragons are my favorite flower. I love growing them. I love squeezing the two parts together and making their mouths open. It's so fun if you haven't tried it. And I like drawing them because it's kind of a whimsical plant and you don't really need to have perfection to achieve the look of a snapdragon because in real life they're kind of imperfect. So I'm just drawing some kind of loose lines here of the petals for the snapdragons. My dad says they get their names because they open their mouths, but I'm not really sure if that's true or not. Let's draw a couple closed ones. I'm pretty happy maybe on down here. So I find the best part about watercolors is that they're kind of imperfect. There's no way to really do it completely correctly, no matter what. The water and the colors are gonna have an effect, so you can kind of play and do whatever it is that you wanna do. So I will finish up with these flowers here in just a second, and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, so my flowers are done-ish, and next step is to go in with a waterproof liner. I like these ones, but you can use anything so long as they're waterproof. That is the most important thing. So I'm just going to go along and I'm just going to start to draw my lines of the flowers. I like to do the petals first and then kind of do what needs to be done in terms of the stem. But it's your art, you do with it what you want. Okay, so I'm going to finish lining these and I'll show you the next step. Now I have my guidelines for my flowers, my outlines. I still kept the circle so I can see where my planet is going, and now it's time to paint. Okay, so for this next part, we're gonna go into the painting. I'm gonna be using the liquid watercolor from P.H. Martin's in Wild Rose. I like the liquid watercolors for the planets because they have a bit more color saturation to them, and I find they kind of flow a little bit easier and better, creating that kind of galaxy planet look. I'm also going to be using a filbert brush. I would use a big brush that can take on quite a bit of water for the planet. And then you just need some water handy, a palette if you want to mix and play with colors. I'm only going to use the one, but I'll still have it in my palette. And then you're ready to go. Okay, so we're going to use a wet on wet technique for this. You're going to start by filling your circle with water. Again, we're having fun. This is meant to be peaceful and relaxing, taking you to another galaxy. So don't stress too much about perfection here. This is for you. So get the water on. You want a fairly neat amount of water. You just want to give the paint something to soak up into. Okay, and sometimes you can leave like little bits dry and then just use the paint on them. Play around, just play. Okay, so I got my circle completely wet. Then I'm gonna go in with my wet brush, get some paint, and I'm just gonna place it on. So you can see what I really love about this watercolor here is that it spreads out and kind of creates these like really cool lines. If I add more water to them, it'll dilute the color. If I use more paint, it'll deepen the color. And you're just playing with creating like texture and painting your whole circle. I like to kind of create that atmospheric effect by leaving some parts of it light or white even. No stress, no pressure. If you want to use a smaller brush to kind of get into these like little areas so you don't do stuff like that, feel free. I want that dark in there. So give it some good color. I like the filbert brush because it's like round, so it's easy to keep the circle shape, not mess it up. I got some on the paper. Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit of water in here. Messy that situation up a little bit. Okay. If you add drops of just water, you can see those kind of blooms happening. How the paint kind of separates. It's a really fun watercolor technique. And I mean planets, they have so much texture and color. I want a little bit more dark mirror up here. Let's get rid of that little space. And that space, and that space. Fun. Okay, great. I think I'm pretty happy with that. So now, next step, we do need to let it dry, but there is something we do in between. And that is, we're gonna add some salt. So I have some salt in this old cup. And you don't need to use a whole lot, but you're just gonna sprinkle some salt. And you don't have to do it everywhere, just kind of where you want to create texture. It'll kind of, it's hard to explain, it's almost like it absorbs the water with the paint in it, but it creates a really cool kind of, almost like the bloom, but a little deeper. I think that's all I'm gonna do, because I'm liking kind of everything else. Once your salt's on, if there's areas that you think that need a little bit more like depth, color, texture, then you can go in and add that. Just love this pink color. Great. Now we just leave it, let it dry completely. Okay, so it's finally dry after an hour and a bit. So now you're just gonna scrape off, gonna rub off all your little pieces of salt and dump them in the garbage. Okay, so I wiped it all off. Now you can kind of see these like really cool effects in here from the salt, the paint. Your choice, you can either leave it like this. I'm gonna do some lines because I really love the look of the blank space with the lines, but you could also use different color watercolors, fill in your flowers, or paint them more realistically, and then you are done. All right, there you have it. You should now have your own completed flower planet. This is my interpretation of a snapdragon. I added some color to the inside and deepened the line work on the outside just for a little pop. And I hope that you also had fun making flower planets, and I really hope to see what you created. So feel free to tag me at Rebel at Art and whatever you post.